this is my favorite thing to do, is to teach this class. So I hope that you will have half as much fun as I do over the course of this semester. If you do, then I have more fun too. I'll just be selfish about this. It's all about me. Okay. Just a little bit in terms of introduction for myself, just so that you have a sense of where I'm coming from with this. So I'm a statistician by education. So I have my PhD in statistics. And I started out working at Rockwell International here at Rocky Flats. Anybody remember or know Rocky Flats? A few of you do. Okay, so just down the street here by about 10 miles, there used to be a facility, a nuclear weapons facility, where they made the plutonium pits. And so I worked there as a statistician in that area called manufacturing technology development. And the idea was, you know, it's to get good quality on the plutonium pits, you really don't want to do destructive testing. Not a good idea on plutonium pits. So you really want to build quality in by design. And that's where I had worked for quite a number of years. I was there probably about 4 years or so. You know, this kind of young, energetic type, really enthusiastic about what I'm doing. And I had spent 1 year on a new weapon system, myself and others. We were doing something called a fully saturated design. All that means is that you take maximum risk to get maximum information out. So how do you get the maximum information out from a very small experiment, but it's very high risk? Well, in a situation like that, where you have these experimental units, the risk is that if you lose one experimental unit, you lose everything that you've done. I mean, the information is worthless, essentially. So after a year of working there, we're down to the last experimental unit, and management, in all of their wisdom, declared a budget cut and cut out the last experimental unit. So a year of my life was just flushed down the toilet. Okay, and it wasn't until that moment that I understood what W. Edwards Deming said. I don't know if you know who Deming is, but what W. Edwards Deming said when he said the level of quality is set in the boardroom. And up until that moment, I thought it was, hey, wait a second, it's us engineers, us statisticians, we're the ones that determine the level of quality with these experiments that we're doing. And then finally I understood it. My career shifted then from statistics into management and into the ideas of leadership. I was very lucky to then go and have a 4-year internship with W. Edwards Deming. And again, he's the American that went to Japan after World War II and taught the Japanese how to build in quality. So when I was a kid, you picked up something. If it says like made in Vietnam, what do you think about the quality of an item now?
You question it.
Maybe you question it. When I was a kid, you picked up something that said made in Japan. That's what you thought, because the quality was so poor back then. And now when it says made in Japan, what do you think? Pretty good stuff, right? You have a higher sense of reliability. So I interned with Deming. And then I took my first job afterwards working for a company called Albany International, actually part of the paper industry. And they hired me on as the global director of quality. And my job was to introduce quality into 37 plants in 13 countries. Okay. I'm a geek. I had no idea what I was getting into, which was probably a very good thing, because I wouldn't have taken the job otherwise. I wouldn't have done it. But try to introduce a culture change into 37 plants in 13 different countries. Again, I got to be a place where, as a former rock climber, you hit a really hard stretch of rock. Sometimes you have to climb faster than you're falling. And that's what it felt like for the years that I was there. It was just climbing faster than I was falling. And that led me into the whole area of leadership, essentially. Because I remember reporting to the president of the company, and he would say, I'd come to him and say, here's what we're doing. Now this is what we need from you. And he would say, no, 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 you don't understand. I want you to change them, not me. Right? And so what I learned very quickly is that how far an organization can go and how far an organization can change, the ceiling is set by the leader's ability and willingness to look at themselves, actually. So leadership here, when you look at how do you change the culture in an organization, how do you, if you want to make such a big culture change, like introduce quality into a group that hasn't had that before, that's huge. It's absolutely huge. And the ceiling to it is set by the leader, okay, in terms of how much they change. So this has really been what my career has been focused on since I left statistics. So I spent 10 years in higher ed, going through school, bachelor's, master's, PhD, worked for 4 years as a statistician and quit. And that was it. So I hope you stay on your career path. But it's been great. I wouldn't trade it for anything else in the world. So why to say this? The reason to say all this is, and then I've been in the university for a number of years. But the reason to say it is that what we're going to do in this class really comes from practical experience for me. And so I'm going to try to lead you through a process that will help you develop your leadership capabilities. That's what this is about. The academic research is behind it. Not that I've done it. I've been mostly a practitioner. Okay? But that's what this class will be essentially about.